HOA Karen called 911 on my cabin. I'm the one who approves their property permits. The valley was my sanctuary, a quiet pocket of pine and cedar where my cabin stood for decades, built by my grandfather's hands. I'm Elias, the county's sole property permit officer, a job I inherited like the cabin itself. My days were simple: reviewing applications, hiking the trails, and sipping coffee on my porch, the world at peace. That is, until Karen moved into Pineview Estates, the new HOA community a mile down the ridge. She arrived with her pristine SUV, her manicured nails, and an unshakable belief that rules were her birthright. The valley wasn't ready for her. Neither was I. It started with a complaint. Karen, president of the Pineview HOA, stormed into my office, her heels clicking like gunfire. My cabin, she said, was an eyesore violating HOA codes that didn't apply to my private land. She demanded I tear it down or face fines. I laughed, explaining my property predated her gated utopia by 50 years. Her eyes narrowed and she hissed, "We'll see about that." I should have known she wasn't one to back down. Weeks later, I woke to sirens. Red and blue lights pulsed through my curtains. Sheriff Daniels, a grizzled man I'd known since childhood, stood on my porch, apologetic but firm. "Elias," Karen called 911. "Says your cabin's a fire hazard. Claims you're squatting illegally." I showed him my deed, my permits, my proof. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "She's got the HOA riled up. They're pushing for an investigation." I felt a knot tighten in my gut. Karen wasn't just a nuisance, she was a storm. The HOA's campaign escalated. Karen rallied her neighbors, flooding my office with complaints about my cabin's non-compliant roof, its unsafe chimney, even its offensive rustic charm. They filed petitions citing bylaws I'd never signed. I processed their requests with a smile, knowing I held the real power. Every new deck, shed, or pool in Pineview needed my signature. I started delaying their permits, just enough to make them sweat. Pergola waited a month. A garage 6 weeks. Karen noticed. She always did. One evening, she confronted me at the town hall meeting. The room buzzed with locals, some siding with her, others with me. "Elias is abusing his authority," she shouted, brandishing a stack of denied applications. "He's punishing us for demanding compliance." I stood, voice steady but cold. "Karen, you called 911 on my home. You tried to erase my family's legacy. I'm just doing my job thoroughly." The crowd murmured, split between loyalty to me and fear of her. That's when I met Lila, a quiet Pineview resident who slipped me a note. "Not all of us agree with her. Keep fighting." Lila became my unexpected ally. A botanist studying the valley's rare wildflowers, she'd moved to Pineview for its views, not its politics. She shared stories of Karen's overreach, finding a family for planting unapproved roses, threatening a veteran for flying a flag. Lila's gentle voice carried weight, and soon, whispers of dissent spread through Pineview. Karen's grip weakened, but she doubled down. The climax came on a crisp October evening. I was reviewing permits when Sheriff Daniels called. "Elias, get to the town square. Now." I arrived to find Karen and a dozen HOA members outside my office, holding signs, "Stop Elias's tyranny." She'd filed a formal complaint, accusing me of corruption. Worse, she'd rallied the county board to audit my work. My heart pounded as I faced her, permits in hand, ready to defend my life's work. Daniels stood between us, trying to keep the peace. "Karen, you've got no evidence," he said. She smirked, pulling out a forged document, a fake permit I'd supposedly signed for my cabin, dated after Pineview's founding. The crowd gasped. My blood ran cold. Then Lila stepped forward, her voice cutting through the chaos. "That's impossible," she said, holding up a photo. "I found this in the county archives. Elias's cabin was permitted in 1968, long before Pineview existed." The crowd fell silent. Karen's face drained of color. Lila had uncovered the truth. Digging through records Karen assumed no one would check. The forged document crumbled under scrutiny, and Karen's allies began to slip away, embarrassed. But victory was short-lived. The board, pressured by Karen's earlier complaints, suspended me pending a full investigation. My cabin, my job, my legacy, everything hung in the balance. Karen lost her HOA presidency, ousted by Lila and the dissenting residents. But the damage was done. The valley, once a haven, was fractured. Neighbors glared at neighbors. Trust eroded. I sat on my porch that night, staring at the stars, wondering if I'd pushed too far. Had I become the petty tyrant Karen accused me of being? Or was I just a man defending his home? The next morning, I found a note nailed to my door, written in Karen's sharp script, "You won't outlast us." I kept it as a reminder not of her, but of how quickly peace can unravel when pride and power collide. Lila stopped by, offering a wildflower she'd named after the valley. "It's resilient," she said. "Like you." I smiled, but my heart was heavy. The investigation loomed, and my cabin's fate was uncertain. In the end, the valley didn't heal. Karen moved away, but the HOA's wounds lingered. I was cleared, but my role as permit officer felt tainted. I'd won the battle but lost the quiet I'd loved. The cabin still stood, but it felt less like home. Lila's flowers bloomed, a small rebellion against the chaos, but even they couldn't mend what was broken. What would you have done in my place? Was I right to fight, or did I fuel the fire? Share your thoughts. Where does justice lie when a community turns on itself?